Welcome everybody. This has been a whole series in the last couple of days put together by Dan, Mary, and Martin. Dan is now one of our zone coordinators, assistant coordinators for our membership engagement, and working with Bill Robson and trying to get a program of communication with our members and our clubs to ensure that we are all well, that we are staying connected, that we're not lonely and feeling isolated. So this program has been put together for this purpose, and it's been going very, very well, I must say. And yeah, I'm just going to turn it directly over to Dan to run the show, and please feel free to raise your hand to chat. He'll tell you the protocol. Thanks, Dan.
Okay, so what we're going to do is what we have found in all these others is that because of the bandwidth of the internet right now and so many people using it, and even this conversation here, at times we break up. What we want to do is minimize the kind of what's going to come across the screen to start with. We're going to go back to the conversation in a little while as far as coming back on screen. But what I'm going to ask you to all do is to close off your video. So you go down to the bottom of your screen, scroll to the left side, you can see stop video. So I'm stopping my video right now. And then Charlene is going to be kind of running our program in the background, and we'll get everybody muted until we get to the end and of the presentation. There's at the bottom of the screen as well there's that chat capability, and if you hit that chat, it'll open up a Zoom group chat on the side of your screen that will show helpful hints from Charlene. If during the presentation you have questions and things that want us to address, if you could put them in there. If there's something urgent that needs to be done, Charlene will let me know, because I'm not going to be seeing you. I'm just going to be seeing the screen that I'm going to be sharing. Okay, so we're going to get started, and we're going to have you out of here before an hour is up, unless you're really dynamic and lots to add at the end. So here we go. So where's my, there we go. We're going to share that. Okay, Charlene, you let me know. Everybody good?
Looks good.
Okay.
All good.
All good. So again, we started this thing. I mean, it's really in response to a lot of the COVID-19 pandemic issue and things that are happening. But at the end of the day, you know, we know now at the end of this 3 months, 4 months, whatever this cycle is going to be, that we're going to be in a different world, and we're going to be dealing differently in Rotary and whatever. I want to preface all the remarks that this is a really important time for all of us to show relevance of Rotary to our members and relevance to the community, and to be engaged in the community. I don't think there's been a better time that we can demonstrate why there is Rotary. So if we're looking at the priorities of what we're going to talk about today, there's the 5 priorities. The first is member health and well-being. And you're going to see through this entire presentation, that is the #1 focus, and needs to be the #1 focus, because we can't address our club health, we can't address our response to the community or engaging in the community if our members aren't healthy. And then we're going to give you some membership strategies at the end. So right now, you know, we're all dealing with this high uncertainty of the virus and what's happening, and it's totally amplified by our self and physical isolation from our members, right? It doesn't mean we need social isolation, but that's what's happening as well. With this isolation, we need to understand what our members' physical and mental health is like, and we need to make that a priority, because these times, the more we hear and the more dialogue we've even had, this is our what is this, our 7th or 8th presentation we've done to district and across our district. And our members, there's areas of that people are struggling with. We need to make this a high priority. And so we have to know how our members are. And the reality is we've got to make contact, and we have to go at this point right away. I think we need some old school kind of solutions. And I'm going to give you an example. I picked up the phone and I phoned the majority of my club of 80 members. And I had, I had quite a few members in tears because I had actually reached out to them. They're some of our older members. They've been isolated, quarantined. They're in maybe these extended care facilities, wherever they are, and they don't understand what's going on. They don't understand what's happening. And that one phone call has stimulated a whole bunch of other activity around them and doing different things. And they've been reaching out and reaching back as well, which is really an important thing. And I'm not suggesting that you as a club leader or whatever have to make all the calls, but you know what? You need to develop a strategy that you touch every single member. And we had one of the great things that came out of our last dialogue is one of the clubs are also reaching out to their past members and have made a commitment to reach out to their past members or even partners of our past members who still feel connected to us and still feel a need to be part of our family, our Rotary family. And we need to think about who those people are. I know every one of your clubs that are on this screen have people like that. Yeah, we can use tools like Zoom and things like we're using today, and we get to see each other's face to face. And, it was great to see Alex out in the ranch there. It looked really good to see, and it's a great tool. But we got to talk about how we do this, and there's some of our members can't do that. And I can't reinforce enough that email is not the tool to be used right now. It can be part of what you're doing, but that email does not replace talking. And I've used this example all day today is that I've got 40 employees, and one of my employees sent me an email, and I forwarded that email to all my staff. And I said, tell me what this means. So out of the 40 people, I got 30 different explanations of what that email meant. And that is, people read it based on the mood they're in. They read what they want to see. They read things into it, implied kind of tones and whatever. And we got to we can't have that risk. We need to really get a hold of our members. What are we asking when we talk to them? We really need to say, hey, what are your needs? What's happening with you? Are you okay? We've got a lot of clubs where we have some senior members, and Alex, we heard about one of your members today and what you've done to reach out and help him talk to his wife in the home, right? Those are the kind of things we need to talk about. We need to, do they need food? They're a high risk. They may not be able to get out of where they are. Do we need to help them get and access food or food hampers? Can they afford it even? Some of them still, and what I found, they still require maybe transportation to appointments or whatever. They're all going to be different, but we got to ask the question and make sure that we hear it. And the other reinforcement I want to make here is that this human interaction that we're starting here, one call is not enough. It's one of. We need to create phone calls, digital ways to communicate, those types of things. And we need our members, after we've touched them, we need them reaching out to our other members as well to make sure that they can continue some interaction. We got to get some tools to help them do that. Really, what I'm finding, and one of the keys here is that we need to have a purpose. Every day we get up, it doesn't matter who you are, what you are, we need a purpose to be alive and be engaged and to get up. And I'm not sure about you, but I really feel that we're living the Groundhog Day movie right now, where we're getting up every morning to the same alarm, to the same shower, to the same toothbrush, to the same coffee, to the same email routine, whatever our routines are, and then we go to bed, and this all starts over again. And we need to give our members purpose. And what's really driving that for me is when I've had the discussion with my members of my club and other members across the district and even into other districts that I'm helping right now, is that people, they're asking us, the ones that can't, they're asking me, how can they contribute? How can they volunteer? What can we do, right? So here's how we have that conversation. After we know how they are and what their needs are, let's ask them W5. Who do they want to support? Help us give direction to our club, right? What can they contribute? Time, talents, and treasures is something we always talk about. But at the end of the day, time, we all have way more time. But the reality is, with that time, we may not be able to volunteer because our membership, like a good example is Calgary West, where we do a volunteer every week to the food bank of 10 to 12 people. Half our members, or maybe more, can't participate in that because they're in the senior category, right? So we got to ask her, hey, where can you support? Right? When you're chatting, when do you want to chat? When do you want to volunteer? Where, ask them why, what they want from the club, right? Having that dialogue. So again, all of this builds, right? It builds into why are we relevant? Why is Calgary at Stampede Park relevant? What makes it important? Well, number one, it's that whole fellowship, that whole member interaction, and we gotta understand the spectrum of health needs and food needs and whatever our needs are of our members. That's going to be our priority. But as board members or leaders within our clubs in our district, we really need to focus on how we're going to communicate with each other on an ongoing basis. You know what? And it may or may not include online meetings, right? That's part of it. And we got creating some strategies, and what the magic of this whole program over all these meetings that we've had the last couple of days is, hey, we're finding ways that some of our clubs have programs that are already planned to be online that they can share. We can be a larger Rotary club, a Rotary community, and seeing and hearing and having meetings. Clubs have already started to have some Zoom meetings online and whatever. We need to start sharing those ideas, and we're trying to figure out a way to create some online blogs and meetings so that, boy, we can share as soon as we get an idea. Your board and committee meetings and focus needs, do have online meetings, try them. I mean, Martin will share a story later, but Cochrane had their first online meeting last night. And they actually had more people out to that meeting than they have to normal board meetings. And it was a wonderful experience, and they're driving some really cool initiatives there that we'll share in a minute. But people join for two reasons. They join Rotary to do good in the community, which we got to start to defining what that is, and we're going to talk about that in a minute. But they also join for that fellowship. So we need to find ways to have smaller chat rooms, having people talk to each other and have different tools to do that. And I'm going to share that with you. Online games. A lot of clubs I know have bridge clubs or within their clubs or gourmet clubs or who's coming to dinner clubs and whatever. Like online games. My granddaughter came up with the idea of playing chess online. What a cool idea. I didn't know you could do that. But what if you played bridge online? What if you played some of these other games online, and we create those opportunities for our club members to do that kind of stuff? The online partying too. I mean, there's Okotoks I know, and now I'm hearing other clubs. They had their Epicurean, their wine party online. They had everybody come to a Zoom meeting. They had their bottles of wine. They uncorked. They shared whatever they were going to share, and just had a great time. So we got to figure out some ways to do this, right? Got to look after our members' health. Got to make sure we're going to figure out where we're going to engage in the community, but how do we keep our membership and our fellowship going? Now, how do we reach out to the community right now? What's our response? What we need to do is, we know there's a ton of need out there. We're all getting it. I'm getting tons of emails. I'm sure everybody on this chat have been getting emails. But the reality is, this isn't the time to start something new. It may be coming through this in a process, but what we need to do is reach out to those agencies and those groups that your club is close to and figure out what their needs are. And that may be a lot of volunteer opportunities, but we need to understand what our limitations of our membership are and whether or not we can even do that volunteer. Like I was mentioning on the food bank with Calgary West. We need to figure out, what we can and can't do, but let's have that dialogue, right? And one of the ways that I'd love to see happen is, as we're having those dialogues, you do a kind of an online meeting like a Zoom with maybe your board and your agency, and the more members that you can involve in the dialogue, the better. We've got to figure out ways to manage that, but I think that's the key. So there hasn't been a better time for a better model than ours right now. I mean, service above self. It is really a call to action. And that's how I think that we as a team, we as leadership, we as members of Rotary, we need to be called to action. And we need to focus on solutions here. We're going to hear about all the problems, but we need to figure out ways as a club, as a district, as multiple clubs, as Rotary in general, the ways to say yes. So we got to build solutions. What about building solutions? So if we say yes, we may not have the money. We'll come to that in a minute. But what if we built teams, once we identified what this need was that we want to help, build teams of our club members to have online chats and meetings to talk about what a solution could look like. Not why we can't, but why we could, right? Let's figure it out. And I know financially is going to be an issue, but at the end of the day, a lot of our Rotary clubs, and the ones on this screen, I know, they have pretty healthy balance sheets, and I know our club and others have reserves on their balance sheet for their operating costs. Well, guess what? This is the rainy day we've been looking for, and that we may have to look at it. Another thing that I've done is that for those that are participants in the Calgary Rotary Clubs Foundation, I've made a request to their board to accelerate the payment date. They know to make their payments out at the middle to the end of June, but that money, they know that the need is there. The money's been allocated. We need to be able to get those funds out sooner than later. To our club, Rotary Club of Calgary West, that means about 40 grand coming earlier that can be part of our solutions. So more on that as we hear how their board responds to that request. So far, it's been really well received. We need to change our fundraising focus. And we need to be more creative than we've ever been. And we need to engage our broader community in the fundraising, because a lot of our pockets in Rotary, we're already at the bottom of them, and we got holes in those pockets, and we're tired of that. But we got to find some ways that we can engage our community more. We've got a couple of examples that I'll share with you. The first is, I'm not sure how many of you had, but a lot of us have had events that have been canceled or will be canceled. Here's a thought. I had my Irish party planned for St. Paddy's Day down at Doherty Hall down on the Stampede grounds. We had an Irish band, we had Guinness, we had 80 people coming to this event. At the end of the day, we canceled it, and oh no. But you know what? We actually, with the help of a Calgary at Stampede Park member who happens to be on the board, the Stampede, we had our fees canceled for the use of the facility. We had the band. You say, no, you don't have to pay us anything. The food was donated anyway. We talked to the sponsors and the people that were going to come to the party, and they knew that it was going to the Doorway, which is a charity to get kids off the streets. Guess what? We ended up everybody leaving their money in. We had no cost now. We were able to find a sponsor, and we got the Shaw Classic Group to double up our donation. So we thought we were going to make a couple grand, 2,500. We're making $5,000 to go to the Doorway. We can still make it happen. The next one I'm going to share is the Art of Heart auction that was scheduled to come up, where it was a joint program. Calgary SRC has been charging along with this for years, and it's been an amazing fundraiser. In Calgary West, this last year was the first year, and this year was supporting them in it. Well, we can't have the dinner, we can't have the auction, we know that. But what if we took this online? What if we gave an opportunity for people to buy their bid cards online, donate it to the Calgary Foundation portal, which we're going to talk about in a minute. They get a tax receipt for their $20, $25 it is to bid, and they're able to bid for the art that Hall's Auction Mart can do online anyway. And we've talked to a member of our club who works for Cisco, who can help us put together the back-end programs and the equipment and technology to make this online auction happen. You know, I think we may be able to raise more money than we did at the dinner. Now, moving to that Calgary Foundation portal, thanks to Mary and her great efforts earlier in the year, we were able to get this Calgary Foundation portal set up where every club can set up an area within there to have the Calgary Stampede is not a good example, but have their portal set up to any donations that are made to the portal are tax receivable. They get the receipt from the Calgary Foundation, and we get to donate the money to the causes. There couldn't be a better time to have this and all our clubs using this kind of portal once we have the right cause identified. And I think that's the key, is that these fundraisers are all going to need to be cause related and direct cause related. So how do we communicate? Never lose the personal contact. I can't, again, over and over, that's the best way to when we maintain contact, it's the best way to maintain our members and grow our members and help our members, and then eventually help the community. But we need a reminder that every member has different needs and different ways to communicate and how they can communicate. And it was Marlene that reminded me that she's more of an introvert than I am, and you know, I get more energy from people and interaction than she does maybe at times. She likes a little bit face-to-face, but maybe not as much as Dan likes. So we got to be aware of what our members like. The other thing is that we really need to have different ways that we can communicate. Because the reality is, and as I've talked to our members in our club, hey, not everybody even has a cell phone or a smartphone. Some of them are still using flip phones, right? We got all kinds of things happening. And some may have computers and have internet and ability to get online, but hey, they might not, in their computers, they may not have a speaker and a camera. And I learned that actually even not only with our own members, I learned that at work, because I put all my staff into home isolation to do their work. So we got to be aware of that. We got to understand, and that goes back to, hey, how you doing? How you feeling? How do you want to get together? Those kind of questions. Now, digital tools. We're all using Zoom right now. This is an amazing tool, and there is an ability. If you work with Charlene's got it on the side, I think, on what you have to do or what the cost will be. I think it's $15 US per person that manages the account for your club. And so you may want to get a couple, 3 of those. But Charlene can get that. If you go online, I think it's a lot more than that, $20, $27. But if you go through Charlene, we can get you the Rotary discount that we've been able to negotiate. Now, that's great for the club and admin to kind of be managing that. But the other reality is people, and I've done it, and Martin's done it, you can download a free Zoom license. Everybody can download a free Zoom license. And our members can start having their own little Zoom meetings with other members, with their family, with people at work or not at work, or wherever they want to have that, with friends and associates. They can have their own wine parties. The only problem with the free one is that you're limited to 40 minutes and for any meeting, which is fine as long as you realize it. And we didn't think that was true until Martin and Mary and I were having a meeting, and boom, Mary disappeared in 40 minutes. So it's real, but it's a great option that we can do. And so we're assembling kind of how to get Zoom, how to get different things. And we'll be getting that out to everybody quite shortly. Now, one of the things we did learn, again, that's why we did this, like when things are going well and people are helping each other, there's always people that like to use back ends and weaknesses of different programs. I guess there are some people that are finding ways into other people's Zoom dialogues and getting in and playing havoc with their Zoom meetings. So Zoom's put out a directive on how to manage that, and that is going to be something that we're going to be getting out to everybody coming up. GoToMeetings is another software that I've used at work, but I've moved away from that to Zoom and to Microsoft Teams at the bottom, which we'll talk about in a sec. Facebook, a lot of our clubs have Facebook pages, and Facebook Live is a great way to get your club online and have a little meeting and a little chat and things going on there. It's a lot of fun. And again, it's another way that we can keep people engaged. And, it's interesting that Facebook's a great way to keep in touch with grandparents, because I think they all got Facebook accounts so they could learn and see about what their grandkids are doing. And that's how I know my kids actually communicate with my mom. And when we were in New Zealand for those 3.5 weeks, boy, my mom thought she was getting all these posts just directed to her because she was online and could see what was happening. It was actually that and Instagram. But again, there's more of us using it than we think there are. Google Hangouts, another tool I'm not as familiar with, but we're doing a little more research on. Now, Microsoft Teams is the one that I've implemented in my office. And there are tools, it's available free to Rotary, and that there's an ability to download and get this going. Every member can download a Microsoft Teams app for free if they have a phone or a laptop or a computer. And each club would need to be their own administrator and look after it. And we'll get some of that details to you later. But the magic of that is that I'm using it even at work for to keep my teams in place. So the first part of it is that there's like a chat capability. So just like you're having a text communication or a WhatsApp communication online, this way you can have multiple people in a chat, and you just do that. So you're not sending emails to everybody or whatever. You can have internal video meetings with your team. And what's fun about that is, or what's practical about it, is I'm using it with my group, because we've got everybody working from home except my warehouse logistics people. And every morning for 15 minutes, I meet with my admin team to see where things are at, receivables, payables, what's happening. I meet with my marketing sales team, what's happening, what adjustments we need to make. I meet with my logistics people to see where we're short inventory. It's an amazing tool, and we all still feel connected. During the day, anybody has a question, whatever, they can start a video meeting. So it's a great tool, and we'll get some more information out to you on that. So in closing, and then we're gonna go to kind of getting dialogue between all of us. The difference between what we do and what we are capable of could solve most of the problems in the world. This is Gandhi. Now, I know none of us volunteered to be in Rotary, to do all this phoning that Doherty's asking for and do all this communication that we have to do with our teams and all that. None of us volunteered for this, but who the heck knew this was going to happen? So my challenge is to all of us is the difference between what we do and what we are capable of could solve most of the problems within our membership, within our clubs, between clubs, within the district in broader sense. So I'm just asking you to be, what we're going to do now is go into some dialogue. We want to hear your honest feedback where you've got concerns, where you've got some ideas that you've already implemented or things that people could tag on to. Let's figure out how we can do this together better, okay? So we'll go here. I'm going to stop my sharing. I'm going to turn my video back on. If others want to do that, turn their videos back on, and we'll get some dialogue happening. So, you happen to be first on my list, Chuck. Okay, Chaz, I'll be formal here today. We'll be better there. So if you want to unmute yourself.
Yeah, right. There we go.
Okay. So how about a little bit of feedback of Calgary at Stampede Park and things that are happening there?
Well, I just extend our sincere wishes that everybody's healthy and clubs are operating well. And I can tell you that from what I've heard that you had put out, Danny, was all good stuff. Certainly stuff, most of which, or a good portion of which, we've touched on at our club. We are fortunate enough to have some very special, and we're all special in Rotary, but I'm fortunate enough as president to have some people that really are quite capable and well-versed in reaching out. So we've already, about a week ago, we split off into a bunch of people that take certain groups of Rotarians in our club and just lists, and we call them all. And from my standpoint, I live on a street of, there's four or five Rotarians that live on my street. We're petitioning to have it changed from Lot Creek Hollow to Rotary Way. But I mean, it's I've been able to see them on various walks and things. But one of the things that I wanted to mention that that I didn't see or hear you mention, Danny, was the advantage of Skype. Now I know that's a one-to-one tool, but for those people that I think it's a step up. If you have the tool, if you can use that, you just see the power here of us looking at each other when you can see a face and feel the emotion and see the emotion. I think it's something that if we can encourage our membership to have that type of tool for those that can, and very, very cognizant of your points that not all our members are savvy enough or are comfortable with the new technologies. But with our club, I guess the one thing that I would just end off on is that we're having a lot of discussions at our board level and really reaching into the committee level as to what do we do with the funds that we have now. And we're positioned to meet our obligations of next year, but we're also saying, well, part of just for an example, part of our obligation next year is about 150 to 200,000 to a large legacy project that we do, and the discussion has been around, well, we can always spend that $200,000 on doing this big project, but the needs may be greater at a different level. and do we need to reevaluate where we can put that amount of money? We've done it. I mean, as all of you know, I'm sort of not held hostage, but I'm at the mercy of Stampede Park in terms of how they view allowing people on Park, and right now it's a ghost town. So I've even made the suggestion that our president's party, which we have a budget for, is on Park, and there's a certain amount of money there. It's not a lot of money, but things like that to say, look, maybe what we do this year is we all look for a good place to put that money instead of having this president's party, so to speak, and celebrate somebody that really doesn't need a lot of celebrating. So my point is that I think I'm really pleased with the groundswell of the club looking at down the road, saying perhaps we need to really take a look at where we spend our money and how we spend our money. Stampede Lotteries and the Calgary Stampede are dealing with our issue of our main fundraiser, which all of you know is the Dream Home. There are strategies in place there, so I don't necessarily, that's not on the front burner to be honest with you. It's more about what do we do to maximize with what we have, and so that's what I've been focusing on in the past week. But in terms of our club membership, I know that we've reached out to almost all of them. I can't say that I've had them cry when I called, and they more try to hang up on me, but it's just a.
You took the words out of my mouth.
yeah. I know, Danny. But I wanted to get that joke in before you got it. But it's been positive. As all of you know, we have a very senior membership in our club. Our demographic is off the charts that way. So the thing that I've encountered with my phone calls is that there's a good family support with most of them. And so that's a box that I can check to say, look, I don't have to worry about perhaps their medical or food needs. It's just a matter of contacting them to talk to them for a few minutes just to maintain that contact. And that seems to be what everybody's doing. So there's my little thing. And sorry to go so long.
Thank you.
You bet.
I mean, I think there's some good things there, and that I'm in out in the same community as Jazz is, and one of the neat things and I've got Rotarians on my street too, but one of the cool things that's happening in our community is that we've got our own Facebook page, which I don't get on very much by Elbow Valley, but what they're doing is asking us all. We have theme days. So we had a emoji day, happy face day. We have got an animal day going right now. I got one of my wolf sketches in the window. And so when people are out doing their walking and getting out of their isolation a little bit, they're counting and looking at windows and seeing what's happening. Kind of a really cool thing. And, you know, my den's at the front of the house, and I'm watching kids go by and they're pointing at the window, and it creates that sense of community. So I think it's been a really good thing to do. So thanks, Chuck. The Rotary Club of Stettler, I don't know who that is. If you want to unmute yourself and let us know who you are, and do you have a camera or not? Hello? Are we there?
Who are you speaking to? I missed that.
The Rotary Club of Stettler.
Oh, no.
Okay. Well, we'll mute you again, and when you come back, we'll let us know.
So it's just good to listen. Yeah. Hello? Can you hear me?
Hello?
It's Chris.
No, we're not hearing you. Okay.
Hello?
So let's go to Anna. There we go.
Hi. Hi, I'm from Rotary of Lethbridge Mosaic. Yeah, so in fact, after this meeting, we have executive meeting via Zoom as well to discuss kind of how we're gonna move forward. But very very interesting time. So everything that you shared with us today, very valuable. A lot of those things we have already on our agenda today to figure out. And I think in our particular case, I'm mostly concerned about upcoming fees and all that, because we are seeing in Alberta, and for sure in Lethbridge, a lot of layoffs and impacts on incomes from families, right? So we know that possibly the Rotary fees are going to be a little bit lower in their priority list if the situation doesn't improve in the coming months. So we want to figure out how we're going to be able to use some of those reserves to assist some of our members that really want to continue being part of the club, right?
Well, I mean, with Lethbridge Mosaic, you're such a beautiful, unique club. And you
Thank you.
every day. I mean, I just love that. So that we've heard this message from other clubs during these sessions that we've been doing. And we do have an item on our board agenda to address that. And even from district level, how do we manage this? How do we look at that? How do we support our clubs? So that, you know, it's a high priority for all of us to look at that. So thank you, Anna.
No, thank you. And I'll share with you guys afterwards. If we come up with any kind of creative solutions on dealing with this, we'll be happy to share with you guys via email, or I don't know if you're going to plan future calls for.
Yeah, so there's lots of follow-up to happen. Yeah.
Awesome. Okay. Well, thank you.
And the other thing with your club, you have so many at-risk or vulnerable people within your membership that
Yes.
You know, my message about making sure they're healthy and safe is really, really important. So
yes, exactly.
Doing and looking after them. Thank you.
No problem. Thank you.
Matt, I don't know if you're falling asleep there with that hand on the head. That's not really good thing to do with, hey, get the hand away from the face. There we go. Okay, unmute yourself and let's go.
No, I was just listening intently. You can't tell I'm leaning in and.
Well, get the hand away from the face.
I've got you on the phone. Oh yeah, I got to stop touching my face. You're right. I honestly, I'm the worst. I bite my nails. I've been wearing gloves in the house to try and stop it. It's a disaster. Yeah, you know, like our club, we were recently talking to about our president's social and what we were going to do with that, and you know, that came to mind too, of this idea of like, rather than building a big contingency, just knowing that we're not going to do it until August, September, and understanding that, you know, one, it'll be a really great opportunity to make sure that I think we need something to come back and connect physically when we can again, and having that opportunity planned or set out. And but yeah, lots of different things. There was an earlier one. Our club regularly does Guess Who's Coming for Dinner, and we do that. You know, a couple members come to your house. You know, you have wine, dinner, that sort of thing. And we had the discussion, instead of doing that, to do actually like a Zoom. So you bring your own dinner, your own wine, you know, sit it up in the living room, sort of thing, and still connect. And because again, it's not social isolation; it's physical isolation. We need to find ways to break that, as you mentioned quite a bit. So but you know, I'm racking my brain here trying to think of creative solutions for clubs. Like, and I, you know, personally, I'm a little scared with all of this. My father's in the kind of primary category of he has respiratory issues, and so as much as I want to be out there helping our club members and doing these different things, I'm kind of scared for my own side or my own family, and I don't know how to bring those two together. Like, we had a call out for our club to do campus food bank, and you know, obviously people weren't, or not campus food bank, to help with the food bank, and most of our club members canceled. And you know, normally I would just jump at that to say, hey, no, like, we got to do this, but I kind of have this big apprehension, and I don't know how to, personally, I don't know how to balance that and refocus that into something that's constructive. So yeah, I'm racking my brain around this one.
I think though, Matt, by just sharing that's the best way to do it. And because I don't think there's anybody on this call that doesn't have that apprehension and that concern. I just had one of my daughters was tested because of her contact with
Yeah.
a student. And it was just earlier today that we heard that she was negative on her test. So the relief in my family was just immense, right?
Yeah.
So I understand, and that's why my whole presentation and the whole talk today is member first, member first, right? Let's figure out what everybody's needs are and how can we help each other through this. I think, Alex, can you share an example that your club did for one of your older members whose wife is in a facility in a home that we were shared earlier? Stephen shared with us, and this might help you as well.
Yeah.
So I got to set the preset a little bit. This gentleman that is a senior member in our club, 1964 is when he joined Rotary. But this is a guy that will climb to the top of Mount Rundle with you, and you got to go some to keep up with him. So he's an incredible active Rotary member, and unfortunately his wife has Alzheimer's and she's in Bethany Care. So one of the nurses is actually setting up a camera so that because he can't go in anymore because she's quarantined, and setting up a camera so that he can communicate with her now on a daily basis. And that came from our actual board meeting last night, where the creative juices got flowing, and all of a sudden, one of our board members said, "Well, my wife's a nurse down there," and before we knew it, bang, it was hooked up.
Yeah. So I guess
Why we're having these calls.
Leveraging the network, I suppose. Yep.
Leveraging the network and finding these creative ways to support each other, right?
Yeah.
So if you need to vent one day and you don't know what to do, hey, we're here. That's what the whole point of this. Or I'm sure there's members within your club that are there to help.
Yeah. Well, I was thinking about too, we all talking about, oh, hey, I can come help you deliver groceries or things like that. But, maybe it's the space of the teaching people how to use click and collect, and, same protocol of, how long do you leave it outside before you bring it in, and X, Y, Z.
Yeah.
Cause
we all have more questions than we have answers, but but again, the critical thing is how are you, your issues and concerns, and you got to talk about them, and let us help you find some solution, and talk to your other members to see what's going on. And you may hear something like Alex's kind of idea that might trigger something. And that's why it's so important to have these kinds of dialogues. And I encourage that within your club, even to have a meeting. Right? Okay. Yeah. Alex, do you have any more that you'd like to add? So you've been very good, Matt, since I called you out on putting your hand to your face, by the way.
Wait, now I'm really thinking about it. Like, oh.
Okay, use it to hit the mute button now, and then we'll come back to you.
Yeah. We good?
Yep, we're good.
Okay. A number of things. We had our first extraordinary Zoom board meeting last night, and that was really just good to connect with our leaders and just, have a preset agenda. A lot came from that, and I think one of the things that we're all getting tired of already is the word postpone. And so we're doing everything we can to not use that word, both in business and in Rotary. And to that end, I think you hit it well on the nail, Dan, when you said, do what you do, what you're doing, existing projects you're doing right now, or the things that you do, continue to do them, but find unique ways to do them. I paraphrase that, but that's what I got from your challenge. And so we're going to be doing some of that. We do Meals on Wheels. We work with our food bank in town with collecting of food. So we are thinking about strategic ways we could get members involved that still honor, the WHO, the World Health Organization guidelines. So if you think about it, we started locally handing out toilet paper, taking it to homes, shut-ins, anybody that needed toilet paper at one of our suppliers supply a bunch of it. And it's amazing how many people, Dan, need toilet paper. And so if you think people need toilet paper, what else do they need in our communities for an outreach perspective? So there's some things we want to do there. Just some of the brainstorming that's happened is, do you know that the back seat of a van qualifies for your 2-meter distance? So you can literally take the seats out in between, use the back seat, and still honor the distance requirement, and still go pick somebody up, deliver them to a clinic, or deliver them down to a shop for groceries, and still honor the distance piece. So
Well, that's good information to know.
And and then setting up remote pickup stations where people can come and drop off, non-perishables to different places in town. So work with the media in town. We're going to work with the media to try and have them work with us to say, okay, Rotary's got a truck here, there, and there. If you can drop off, we're honoring the distance. We're honoring the all the things that we want to do to straighten the line out. So we're going to be doing some of that. We're going to have a live meeting with our members online live April 6th. And then I think our big thing, to not do the postpone piece, is we're still going to go with our young professionals inauguration March 31st. 20 new members are going to be inaugurated that night, and we're going to do it virtually. So you'll be invited. Obviously, all the DGs will be invited. So we're looking to inaugurate 20 new Rotary members March 31st, 7 p.m.
Awesome. Perfect.
And then we're going to get them to help us pick up food.
Exactly. Those that aren't quarantined.
Yes.
Thanks a ton, Alex. I don't know if anybody saw the comment from Chris at Rotary Club of Stettler, but the one important thing that Chris wanted to say was about their exchange students they're both in and out or home and safe. So that's a good thing to be able to get done. So that was good to hear. Brian, got to get you unmute yourself. Or Charlene, can you unmute Brian?
Got it.
There we go.
Thank you. As you know, we're a very small club, and I see President Hugh is also signed on here, and he's a much robust talker than I am, as anybody who knows him. And I just wanted to say that we're a very small club. We've got 7 or 8 members. One of our members has made a suggestion as to what we do. We are following the guidelines that you've talked about today. They're all excellent, and then it's easy for us to keep membership. One thing that Banff is in a unique situation because we're hospitality based, and we've probably got 3,000 to 4,000 of our staff that are laid off right now. Some of these are foreign staff on visas, and a lot of them have managed to find a flight to get back to Australia or wherever they came from. But there's still lots here that have zero income. They still have rent to pay, and they still have to eat. So we're working, and the town of Banff, in fact, is working on strategies. One thing that struck me is there are a number of organizations in town that everybody wants to do everything, and I think you touched on that a little bit. So a key for us out here is to connect with the other groups, Freemasons, Legion, Community Foundation, and Rotary, and there's a couple others as well. That it's important, I think, that we coordinate efforts instead of each group driving around with a van delivering bags of groceries. And we've got a very robust group that's run by Hugh's wife, Alana, the Banff Food Rescue, and she's very busy, very well organized, and has a great system going. And unfortunately, our Banff food bank decided to close. And that could be because they might be struggling with volunteers and what have you. So the only distribution group right now is Banff Food Rescue, and we're working with them to try and come up with a unified plan. And Hugh and I are both on the executive of the Legion as well. And even though we only have 7 or 8 members in the Banff Rotary Club, we have over 200 in the Legion, and all of these things apply to that group as well. So we're attacking it from two different angles, and I defer to Hugh to expand on that.
Hugh, do you want to come in?
I'm already there if you can hear me.
We can now.
Hey, how's everybody doing? Thank you for organizing this meeting. I think it's very worthwhile. So yeah, I think Brian captured most of what I wanted to say, but we have a strong community and everybody's getting organized, but I think he's right. There's a lot of groups doing things on their own and coordination is needed. The town is doing that through their FCSS group, but they're relying on Alana. Alana's my wife, Alana. I was going to joke about what you said this morning or earlier when you were speaking, Dan, about waking up every morning. It's a new day and, you know, no routine. Well, I have to tell you, I'm waking up to a different woman every morning because she's so energetic. I can't hardly recognize her. She's getting younger by the day.
Well, you know what? I think you're delusional as well because of you're not able to get on the ski slopes. She probably doesn't know who you are in the morning when you wake up.
Let's just say you brought something I didn't want to talk about, but that's okay. We'll get there sooner. I might climb up one of those mountains soon. No, Alana is not just the only one. There's a lot of groups. There's a lot of restaurants that are preparing meals, but I think the coordination is happening now better. But just to give you a quick example of how the Legion is working also, the executive there has agreed to maintain a spot for storage for food that's coming in from different sources, food that's non-perishable at this point. And then, you know, some of the areas are known, people are staying shelter in place. Seniors is another issue. And I agree with Brian. We need to kind of have a general meeting between all those groups and figure out how we can work together as opposed to individually. That's about my recap. And I think there's an opportunity, like you said, to recruit new members. I got to think about how we could do that right now. But I think the door could help.
Well, right now, this is your chance. This is your chance to find that purpose in Banff that you've been looking for a while. And if you and the club can take that leadership role, especially with the advantage of having your wife as part of that decision, I think.
Well, you know,
you've got a chance here.
Yeah, she's good. She's got a bunch of volunteers, but you know, I could see this thing growing, like Brian said. And I'm going to give the mic back to Brian here, see what he has to say, but on what I just updated. Go ahead, Brian.
Not much more to say, just that we are moving forward. I got some great ideas on your presentation, Dan, and it brings things into focus for sure. And we'll continue on. And I know Canmore, I don't know if any of our other members have attended an earlier meeting today, but I know Canmore's got a very robust club, as you know, and they're doing some neat things, and I applaud them for what they're able to accomplish.
Okay, good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Can I say one more thing? I just want everybody to know Brian's been an amazing supporter and hard worker. He's doing an amazing job right now, and everybody needs to know that. Thank you.
I think everybody on this screen are amazing people, and we're having an impact, right? And the fact that we're here spending our time trying to figure this out together, it makes it really amazing. So
Agree.
I agree also. I didn't mean it that way. I just want to
yeah,
recognize.
no, Hugh, I wasn't meaning it bad. You're
Yeah. Okay. Oh, good. Continue on. Over and out for Pettigrew.
over now for Pettigrew. Okay, Hal, I'm sure you're not Hal. Do you want to unmute yourself or there? Oh,
Can you hear me now?
there we go.
Okay. No, I'm Joyce Halpenny from Sarcee.
Okay.
You are muted.
Yeah. Okay. So no, unmute yourself, Joyce, and tell us how we can help each other.
Well, I can only tell you what we've been doing. A lot of the stuff that you pointed out earlier, being a small club, we have been reaching out to each other and been having a little bit of fun with it. There was 4 of us actually went shopping this morning to buy supplies for the Brenda Stratford Society for Prevention of Family Violence, and they put out a list of stuff they needed. So I was at Superstore, somebody was at Costco, somebody else was at Walmart. We were all texting back and forth, letting them know, okay, I found diapers, I found Pedialyte. So we now have quite a bit of stuff to be delivered over to the center on Thursday. So we're trying to have some fun with it.
Yeah, absolutely.
But we had to do it at 8 o'clock this morning to try and keep the physical distancing happening and that sort of thing.
Well, it's also we've got some advantages because we get to get in there early, don't we?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we picked 4 charities to support very quickly. The 2 emergency shelters for domestic violence and 2 children's programs. And we're reached out to them and we're donating some money to them. And so now we're just kind of sitting tight. We still have money that we would like to get out, but we're also somewhat concerned about, you know, how much money do we hold back for future use? Because as you mentioned earlier, the Art Option fundraiser, we are in the midst of trying to figure that one out. And also we are supposed to have a casino, and a lot of the casinos have been canceled. So I don't know when out. We're scheduled for the end of August, so we'll probably get pushed out even more. So that I would assume they have to, the volunteer organizations that are missing out now, they probably are the first ones to get the casinos the next time when they start up. So we don't know when our next amount of money is coming in, so we're just kind of working through that. But emails are working for us because we are old school. I don't think a phone, but not as old school as picking up the phone. That's a good idea.
I'm always amazed how much you guys get done with how few bodies you've got. So it's amazing. You're an amazing group, and it's good to see you being so active and engaged. Thank you.
Great. Well, we'll keep at it.
Good. Thanks, Joyce. Mary, would you like to update people on some of the initiatives that I can see?
Yeah. Oh, for sure. Thanks, Dan, and thanks everyone for coming this afternoon on a very busy time in our district. Just wanted to bring you up to speed on some work that I've been recently involved in with Alberta Health Services. Alberta Health Services has reached out to us as Rotary. They're looking for civic leaders who are engaged in providing service, and why not pick Rotary, right? So they're excited about asking us to be involved in helping them with transitioning folks from hospital to community, folks that have either had the COVID-19 virus or are self-isolating for other symptomatic contagious situations. Had a conversation this morning with senior leaders from Alberta Health Services and my classmate from District 5370 to the north. This would be a province-wide initiative from Alberta Health Services. They are thrilled to hear that Rotary has done such great due diligence with respect to our police checks, our vulnerable record checks, and the organization that our clubs and our districts are set up in. So I've become a member of their new task force. It's still early in the conversation. This COVID-19 is just in the it's just in the early phases, really. We're just kind of in the warm-up mode right now for this virus. It's not expected to peak until the middle of May. So this isn't going away anytime soon. And Alberta Health Services are looking at Rotary to help them with some of this support in the community. Don't know exactly what that's going to look like yet. That'll be part of an ongoing conversation. It could be dropping off groceries. It could be cutting grass. It could be any other kinds of supports that they will need from our members, bearing in mind that many of our members are vulnerable themselves. So not all of us will have an active frontline kind of opportunity, but I'm pretty confident that if you're interested in serving, there will be a role for us. So keep in touch, and I'll certainly keep you well informed as I learn more. Just an opportunity that's coming to us as Rotarians. Thanks, Dan.
Thank you. Martin, do you have anything that you'd like to say in wrapping up here as well?
Yeah, absolutely, Dan. First of all, thanks everybody for this session. This is, gosh, I think the 7th in 2 days. And I was at a board meeting with Alex last night, and just a couple of things. It's apparent, and Dan touched on it right at the beginning, that connection with each other is absolutely key. It's the #1 step. And that's happening through telephone calls, through the Zoom. And to me, it just reminds me of a term I've heard, leave no child behind. Well, I think in this case, it's leave no Rotary member behind or past members. And that's something to think about, people who have Rotary in their heart, but they just may not be a member at the moment. So that's just, I think, just kind of one thing that I'm taking with me as we move on this journey.
Thank you, Martin. Well, I think that we're coming to a close. I didn't meet my promise. It's 5:09. But Christine, if you'd like to close, and then I just want to thank everybody for the commitment you've made. I get energy from all of these and the ideas that we get. And it just, again, thank you so much. And there'll be more to come. Christine?
Okay, yes, I echo Dan and Martin's and Mary's comments. Thank you very much for joining us today. There is also a movement with respect to the homeless people in our province and what actions that Rotary can do to help. I've been connected with the director of the health equity at the University of Calgary Department of Family Medicine. Her name is Bonnie Larson. She's reaching out to governmental agencies and other service agencies and Rotary to see how we can get a needs list put together and help the homeless. I live downtown East Village in Calgary, and looking across last night from our window at the drop-in center, there is zero physical distancing at all happening. So they are in a very, very high-risk area. There has been some talk about this opening hotels to get these people sheltered and separated, but right now we're not sure when that can all come together, but we're hoping soon. But anyway, that is another thing that is in development right now and an opportunity to serve. And again, unlike Mary, what that looks like right now, we're not sure. Thank you to Dan, Mary, and Martin. They spent all last weekend and worked so hard these last 2 days delivering 7 of these meetings so far. And it is a coordinated effort. You guys did really good, and I want to thank everyone for coming today. I really got value out of this. Every session, I got something good every session is recorded, so we can capture all these fantastic ideas that clubs are doing for their communities. So thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Have a good evening.
Bye.
Bye now.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.